Greetings, everyone, from Grace Ministry at Rafa, and we're also known as Trinitarian Grace International. I'm kind of stumbling a little bit at the beginning because I really listened to those songs and they kind of touched me. But I've got to where I'm trying to stay in tune with what I'm feeling because sometimes it's not me that's coming up with those feelings, it's coming from God. And before we get started, I want everybody online and everybody in here to take a deep breath and then breathe out a couple or three times. Whatever troubles or trials or situations that's going on, because we had an extra number of prayer requests today because of people being sick and all kind of things, and that goes on all the time. But sometimes we carry that stuff around with us, and we worry about our friends, and we worry about our family, and we worry about ourselves. And this, just for a few moments as we share together this morning, let that go for a few minutes. And let's just focus on whatever God leads me to talk about. The topic today is fearing God. Oh boy, well, here he goes. I'm going to let y'all have it now. I'll tell you that right now. We're going to talk about this fearing God thing. If I can figure out how to get stuff to work here. Give me, there we go. Is that up there now? Okay, that's just to let you know where you are in case you don't know where you are and what day it is. Just so that you'll know that I know, right? The message is fear God. Isn't that one of those terms that I don't know about most of you? Most of you at least dabble with reading the Bible, I guess, or have heard people quote scriptures and all that. And I love the Word of God. I'm talking about the written Word, but I also love the Word, which is Jesus Christ. But there's things in that Bible that confuse me sometimes. It'll tell you to do one thing, then it seems like it tells you to do something else. You feel what I'm saying? One of them is fear God. And then somewhere else it says, don't fear. Do not fear. I'm like, whoa, hold up, God. You just told me to fear you, and then over here you tell me don't fear nothing. And you know that I'm basically a chicken shit anyway, you know what I mean? I'm afraid of all kinds of stuff. I mean, I was talking to Shirley. She was talking about how her mother was just deathly afraid of storms. It started getting dark outside. Her and the kids went to the storm shelter. I'm not saying that's wrong, but you get what I'm saying. Some people, we grow up in environments where we're just afraid of everything. Or you might condition your children to be afraid of this and not that. It's just all kind of stuff. So which is it? Do we walk around afraid all the time, or are we not to be afraid? Which brings me to this part of the thing. What's the difference between fearing and being afraid? So let's see if I can get into this. Let me see what in Proverbs 19, verse 1, 2, 3. I'm using the New King James Version today. And the only reason I'm using that version is because I can. The fear of the Lord leads to life. Verse 19, better is, now let's back up a second. Fear of the Lord leads to life. When I think of fear, I think it's time to hide. I think it's time to avoid somebody. You know, I used to walk around when I was younger, and I ain't afraid of nothing, but I was afraid of everything. You know, some of you younger guys may feel that way now. I ain't afraid of nothing. Yeah, you are. But we may act like we don't, and sometimes we do stupid stuff just to prove we're not afraid of stuff. But really, we do that stupid stuff out of fear. We do it because we're afraid. And we overcompensate, try to act this way and that way, make people know that I'm not afraid. But here it says the fear of the Lord leads to life. It leads to life. What does life mean? I think life means learning to live in this skin that we've been wrapped in. Better is the poor who walks in integrity. I spent many years of my life being poor because that's another thing. We get confused what poor is. We usually think poor means you don't have no money, you ain't got enough food. But see, I've come as I got older, that ain't, poor doesn't mean, it don't necessarily mean finances or not having material things. It means being poor in spirit, being not knowing where to turn when you need something, but walking in integrity. It's better to be poor financially, better to be poor in any kind of way, but still walk with integrity. What's integrity? Kind of like do the right thing even when nobody's watching, because somebody's always watching. You know, these days, not just God, but they got so many cameras everywhere now. Everything you do, I mean, on the streets here too, right? People are always watching. I watch Live PD, baby. They got cameras everywhere. First thing they do when they make a bus, check these people's cameras. Y'all get my point. Walk in integrity, do the right thing, even though you think nobody's watching. One who then one who is perverse in lips and is a fool. Some people say, I remember when I was young, I was told, don't ever call anybody a fool. Now I found out that most of us are very foolish at times. Also, it is not good for a soul to be without knowledge, and he sins who hastens with his feet. Kind of what do you think that means? I kind of think that means rushing into something without thinking. I've been a master at that. And I mean rushing in physically, but I also mean rushing in verbally. Start running that head before you think. You ever done that? Anybody ever got in trouble for that? And many of us still get in trouble for that. Amen. Don't raise your hand because everybody does. The foolishness of a man twists his way and his heart frets against the Lord. We get all confused and we rush into stuff. Our feet leads us into doing stuff and saying stuff. And I think somebody brought to me earlier about had a prayer about temper and rage and all that. Hey, I was a master at that. I mean, that was one of my things when I was young. I was full of rage and anger. And sometimes, I still flare up a little bit. And as I say, surely you don't have to share nothing about that. But nothing like it was when I was young. Did I learn how to do that on my own? When I started opening myself up to participating with Jesus Christ in my life, the Spirit of God started saying, whoa, stop. Think before you talk. Think before you act. How many in here on this screen, I guarantee you, you don't even have to raise your hand, but you can if you want to. How many, if we had applied that to our life, there's a whole lot of bad things that would not have taken place in our life? I have to raise both hands. It happens right here sometimes when you're at rehab. It happens with people in church groups. So what about this thing? What about this rushing into stuff? What about this fear? He says, the fear of the Lord leads to life. Wait a minute. You told me to fear and you told me not to fear. Which is it? Fear or versus afraid? In the Bible, fear of the Lord signifies, this is what fear I've come to understand when it's talking about fear in the Bible means. You're not to be afraid of God. But fearing God is signifying a reverent awe and respect for God. Make more sense? It says revere, respect God. Not simply a fear of punishment. I've never feared punishment that much. I never liked it that much, but it didn't stop me from doing anything. I mean, we knew what we was going to get. A lot of times we did it anyway. But, if I'd had a fear in the sense of an awe and reverence for God, I probably wouldn't have done anything to be punished for. Make sense? A deep respect for God's holiness, his majesty, a power leading to humility, not humiliated, but being humble, allowing the other guy to be right sometimes. Sometimes just let the other guy be right and let it go and move on. The truth is always going to win out, regardless if you win the argument or not. Obedience and a desire to please God. This concept's often linked to wisdom and a deeper understanding of God. So in this sense, it is good to have a fear of God, have a reverence, have a deeper relationship with God. The fear of the Lord, I don't know if you can see all that, but my thing may be blocking you here, but the fear of the Lord is not about being terrified of God. The motto, one of the main mottos of this ministry here is what? God is not mad at you. God's not mad at you. But about being in awe of his greatness and glory. It involves recognizing and honoring God as the ultimate authority and source of wisdom and knowledge. This fear leads to a humble attitude and willingness to obey God's commands, like love one another. That's a challenge sometimes, isn't it? It's easy to love people I like. What about them people I don't like? You got anybody you don't like? I mean, you don't have to confess, but we got people we don't like. But look at us. Look at the things I've done. There's people that don't like me. I know that's very hard to believe, but there's people that don't like me. But they're ordered to love me. And I'm told to love you, but I shouldn't love you out of a resentment or being, okay, God, I'm going to love that SOB just because you told me to. But maybe if I started looking at that person I don't like and recognizing that some of the faults that they have are the same dadgum faults that I got, or worse, and give them a break. Because I always want people to give me a break over the years. I've always, my wife loves the song, When Mercy Walked In, because of my background and my dealings with the courts and prisons and stuff. I was supposed to be thrown away forever, never to be out among you again. And Mercy walked in one day and said, well, we're going to change that. Let's see what you can do with it. Not going to do it for you. You know, when I got out from under all that prison stuff and all that, it's not like God said, okay, I'm going to make everything easy for you. He said, no, I'm going to give you another chance. Let's see what you can do with it. Same with every one of us sitting here. God's giving you another chance, or a third chance, or a fourth chance. You count them. How many chances He's given us to do with what we learn about Him and the way He is, His grace. What are we going to do with it? What are we going to do with it? Are we going to sit around and talk about it? I mean, y'all know I like to carry on, have fun, joke around, all that. That's all. That's good. And God don't tell you, okay, now that you're claiming to be a man of, or woman of God, that you got to walk around and never laugh anymore. Don't laugh anymore because it ain't funny. If you had to looking at all you bunch from me, it wouldn't be that funny. You hear what I'm saying? God is saying, look, just because you recognize that the Spirit of God dwells in you does not mean you have to change your personality. If you're emotional, it doesn't mean you got to stop being emotional, because different people are more emotional about the way they worship God, and that's all great and wonderful. Some of us are not that emotional, but God don't say you got to be one or the other to be one of mine. All of you are mine, and if you feel good at being emotional with it, go for it. If you feel good being more stoic about it, as they say, go for it. Some of us that are not really emotional in our worship behaviors are very emotional in here. Y'all get what I'm saying? God's not trying to change who we are, because He knows who we are. We're men and women of God. We're chosen from before the foundation of the world. That's what the song says, what the book says. The fear of the Lord, the awe and respect of God, is seen as a foundation for understanding God's ways and living a life pleasing to Him. The core of fear of the Lord is not rooted in fear of punishment, but in reverence and respect for His holiness. Here's something interesting I looked up. The phrase wisdom through fear of God in Hebrew is Adonai Rishmith Chakma. I got that right. You'll have to go back and watch the recording. Which translates from Hebrew to the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. This phrase is found in Proverbs 9:10. It's just what I've been talking about, right? That become wise means to fear the Lord. What does it mean? Don't be running around afraid of God. And don't be trying to use God. I'm going to talk about this in a minute real quick. Don't be trying to use God as a weapon. Some people want God to love me, but I want to use him as a weapon to hurt you. Yeah, come on now. How many of you heard people say, God, strike them down? And you said, well, I read that in the Bible. He said, stop. I'm talking about you and me right now in this moment. We should never ask God to strike anybody down. You don't give God his instructions. It says if you want to have knowledge and wisdom, all give God reverence and be in awe of God. God can make anything work out. He's proved it in my life. I've witnessed it in many lives of others. The fear of the Lord in Proverbs 9:10, which was talking about when I used the Hebrew term there, is the beginning of wisdom. The knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. Now, remember, when you read this now, when you say the fear of the Lord, it ain't about being afraid. It means respect and honoring God is the beginning of wisdom. And who among us has all of it down pat? Certainly not me. I know that's surprising too, but I may think I do, but I don't, and you don't either. And nobody you see on TV preaching or down on the corner, nobody has it down pat. We're all on this journey together, and we all are different places in our journey. I don't care how close you are, but everyone is at a little different place in their journey. Just remember, honoring God is a whole lot better than being afraid of God all the time. Because sometimes I know, I even said this in my past before when I've had things going on where I had done things to get myself in trouble, or either I had physical problems going on that were, in fact, a result of the way I had abused my body with drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, and all that kind of stuff, right? But then I turn around and say, God must be punishing me for all them bad things. I've said that. God's not punishing me. I'm reaping the consequences of my actions. God's trying to he's always got his hand out there like, yeah, you're having to go through that because you did crap you shouldn't have done. But I ain't went nowhere and I'm not going anywhere. That applies to you just like it does me. Wherever you are in your journey right now, God is right there with you in that journey. I know next week our brother Tom's gonna give the message on Mother's Day, but I want to tie this in real quick. Next week is Mother's Day, and Ephesians 6:2 says, honor your father and your mother, which is the first commandment with a promise. Now, how many of us have done things to dishonor our mothers and fathers? How many of us, sometimes, don't get me wrong, I know some of us have had mothers and fathers, I'm talking in general, who may not be the mother or father of the world, as they say. But what about you? But we're told to honor our parents, honor your mother and father. Honor God. He tells us to honor your mother and your father. Now, does that mean I have to understand everything about my mother or father? Because there's a lot of things sometimes about our mothers and fathers that we don't know. We don't know. We know when we came into their life, and then from then on, in some cases, you may know a little bit, but there may be a whole lot about your mom and daddy and what they've been through and where they come from that you don't know. That's why they act the way they did. That's why they treated me like they treated me, good or bad. Think about that. We're to honor our mothers and fathers. We're to honor God. What do we do sometimes out here at this break area out here, or sometimes in the dorm rooms here or at the fellowship house, either one? We're sitting there talking to our buddy, and we might be talking about God 1 minute and talking about other things the next. People draw near to me with their mouth sometimes. You're somebody out here preaching, anybody, and honor me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. The world is full of people like that, and I'm not putting them down. I'm just saying that's where they are in their journey. They talk a good game, but they ain't walking out crap. You hear me? If you learn to walk it, you'll learn to talk it. Don't talk it and try to walk it matched up with your mouth, because that ain't going to work. You have to learn to walk it, and then your talking will come with experience. You hear me? We get it. We got it backwards, folks. That's why we're so screwed up. I say yes when I should say no. I say no when I should say yes. And I try to talk it before I know what the heck I'm talking about. It's just like, folks, I harp on this before, and I'm sorry I'm running over a little bit, but we get folks that come to these rehabs and churches and everything. And I mean, you come 1 or 2 meetings, the next thing you know, you want to get up here and preach the sermon. I'm good with that when the time comes, but don't. Like with the word usually is, I've told this story before. This guy walked me right up here one time. This is several years ago. He said, I mean, I didn't even know the guy really had that good. He ain't been here once or twice. I might have seen him raise his hand a time or two. I don't know much about the guy. He says, I feel led to give my testimony. I put my arm around his shoulder and walked him right there in that corner, and I whispered in his ear, and I said, that'll be great and wonderful, and I'll make that happen as soon as you get one. You feel me? You can't give what you ain't got. I've got some people sitting in this room that told me they needed to teach me how to run this program, Daniel. When I used to sit in that chair where Michael sits, or I just so happened I was that day anyway. And he came in, now that you brought it up, this young man came in there and he says, I don't like the way y'all run this place. I said, well, hey, yeah, he'd been here less than a week, and he's like, I don't like the way y'all run this. And I said, well, hey, point it out. Tell me what's wrong, buddy. But it turned out that he decided to be quiet, shut up, go back to the room, and stay. That's only because community corrections said if you don't behave, you're going to jail. But anyway, I say that in humor and out of love. But Daniel's like a son to me now. I became very good friends with his father, who's been gone a little over a year. God connects these dots. Y'all getting what I'm saying here? You can't share what you can't got. You can't give something you don't have. Psalm 74:20. Have respect to the covenant, for the dark places of the earth are full of haunts of cruelty. What covenant? The covenant between you and I and Jesus Christ. It's not as I've heard my friend Doug say, this relationship with God is not a business deal. It's not a transaction. It's a covenant. You should honor covenants, and the covenant will honor you. Psalm 44, blessed is the man who makes the Lord his trust in God. And you will learn how to discern what men and women you can trust. We do it backwards. A lot of us get to trust in this man to tell us how to trust God. Trust God, and God will lead you to what men you should trust. Backwards, right? Hebrews 12:28. Therefore, since we're receiving a kingdom which cannot be shaken, let us have grace by which we may serve God acceptably with reverence and godly fear. And some of these things I'm just rushing you through. God's love and grace are unconditional. This God that's residing in you and around you all the time is love. He is love. That's just not what he does. The phrase, if this phrase emphasizes God's love for individuals is not based on their actions, but rare on his inherent nature. You're what I'm saying. I'm stumbling through it. What that means, he's not basing it on what we do good or what we do bad. He does it's based on what he is. He is love, and he loves us. Everybody in here is screwed up. Everybody. Guess what? Everybody in here is going to screw up again. Maybe not as bad as the last time, and it may be of a different nature. It may be just of a bad thought. It may be of saying something to somebody to hurt their feelings, but you're going to do it. Y'all haven't reached that perfection that I have yet, right? Another thing about that thing, be ye perfect. Book says be ye perfect. Most of you know what I teach about that. My studies, that means to be mature. We can all grow up and be mature. We can learn to not rush into anything with our feet. And we can learn not to say stuff without thinking. God is not angry or withholding blessings from you or me because of stuff we've done in the past. He's not punishing us. This can be a reassurance that God is not mad at someone for their struggles and circumstances. It can also suggest that God is not withholding blessings or good things. He's patiently, the other word is long-suffering, working in their lives according to his own timing and plan. God is working in your life. God is working in my life. God is working in your life right now, this moment. I don't care where you are in your journey. I don't care where you are in your relationship with your family. I don't care where you are in your sobriety. If it's been 2 days or 2 years, you're exactly where you're supposed to be at this moment. Encouragement and faith. Let you look on yourself. Personal reflection. We need to be reflecting on our own lives and seeing where we stand with God. In closing today, Romans 8:31, subtitled God's Everlasting Love. What then shall we say to these? If God is for us, who can be against us? Have you heard that before, right? We'll hear things like that. People put it on T-shirts and they put it on hats and they say it. God's for me, who can be against me? That's saying it with ease. But do you feel it in here? Because it is true. God is for you. That means there's nobody strong enough to be against you. You hear what I'm saying? Quit letting the other opposite of God, which is love, defeat you. He's not mad at me. He's not mad at you. God is for us, not against us. And as I said earlier, never, ever wield God as a weapon against our enemies. Don't never pray against anything. I know there's things we don't like. I know we see things on TV, on the news especially, which I advise against watching most of the time. But we see things and we want to say things. Well, he should be taken out behind that courthouse and blow his brains out. Y'all heard that one? That's probably been said about me. Okay, on both sides of that. But you hear what I'm saying? We'll have it said about us, then we'll turn around and say it about other people. We are not in charge. We're not the judge. That's not our job. Yes, people do awful, terrible things, but I know it's tough. Don't use God as a weapon against them. Use a God as a savior to help them. Does that mean they're going to get away with their wrongs? Nobody gets away with nothing. I ain't never got away with nothing. And you may think you're sitting there and you've got away with something, but you ain't got away with nothing. God knows all things, and he will take your life just like he takes my life, and he will turn it into something good. Right. for you and your family and whoever else. He is not mad at us. He loves us. And as we say here at Grace Ministries of Rafa, God is not mad at you. All means all. All are included in the love of God. And the gospel, which is Jesus Christ, is for all kinds of people in all kinds of places. I hope you'll take at least something from here today. Know that you're loved. Know that you don't need to use God as a weapon. Know that the fear of God is to honor and respect him. Amen.